Okay, we'll start in a moment. Not everybody got an invite. Well, try again. Okay, obviously it worked. Okay, so we're on Megillah Daf Dalet. Leave through here. Can't find it. Okay, so let's start from the mission at the bottom of Gimel Amud Beis. Chalios b'chamishi. If Purim came out on the fifth day of the week, which is Thursday, Kfarim Vayoros Gedolos Karim Bo Bayom. So then the villages and the large towns read on that day. Mukafas Chayma, the ones which are surrounded by walls, L'Mochor, they read the next day. Chalias Erev Shabbos, it comes out Friday. Kfarim Magdim Yom HaKnisa, the villagers read on the day which they 482 or 382. Not 482. Arts English right here. 4. Are we doing Daf Dalet today? Oh, Arts is over there. Okay, fine. Never mind. So, so again, if it comes out Chalios Erev Shabbos, so then the villages go back to Thursday, the day of gathering, but and the large cities and the large towns and and the ones which are around the walls because they don't read Megillah on Shabbos. So therefore they read on the prior day, which is on Erev Shabbos. Chalios b'Shabbos, it comes on Shabbos, which cannot happen. Previous Gemara said it never happens. It comes on Shabbos because then if it comes out of the Shabbos, then the Yom Kippur will come out on a Sunday. So therefore, the Pnei Korban and Pnei Moshe both change the gears here. The Chalios Achar Shabbos. Okay, this is comes out on Sunday. So Kfarim Vayos Gedolos Magdim Yom HaKnisa. So then the towns and the villages and large towns go back to Thursday. And the ones which are surrounded by the according to change in the Pnei Moshe Korban Eda, the way read is like this: as I Shabbos Kfarim go back to the Yom HaKnisa, and the Yoros Gedolos read that day. Mukapas Chaim Alamachar, and the Mukapas Chaim, the ones around the walls, read the next day. So when you ask if it was used to be able to come out on Shabbos, that's the whole question. How early they started tampering with the luach to make sure that it didn't come out on Shabbos. Now, still today, the 50th day of Adar can and does come out on Shabbos, but that's when Purim is Shulash in Eretz Yisrael, but in Yerushalmi. But it's not clear. At one point, they started tampering with the calendar in order to make sure that Yom Kippur does not come out on a Sunday or a Friday. We don't know if it goes back to Bayis Rishon, beginning Bayis Sheni. It was the end of Bayis Sheni, time Hillel the second, rather than Bayis Verava. We really don't know. Obviously, the time of Yerushalmi, which is before Hillel the second, at least slightly before, they already were concerned about that and made sure that it didn't happen. Okay, let's go to Daf Dalet and Aleph at the top. Bug Kumi Rabbi Zira, ask in front of Rabbi Zira. Ischami, come and see. Chalios the Krachim b'Shabbos. If it comes out on the 15th day, comes out on Shabbos. Korim b'Erev Shabbos. Then you read in the walled cities on Erev Shabbos, as is our minhag today. Chalios la Yoros b'Shabbos. But the question is, if it comes out to be for the towns on Shabbos. Yidachlu Yom HaKnisa. It says that they go back to the they go back to the to the day to Thursday. So why don't they? Why doesn't it happen that they either go back? They both go back to Erev Shabbos, or both go back to the Yom HaKnisa. Now, this is a very difficult thing because it seems to come out not like the change in the gifts that we had in the Mishnah. Let's see Korban 8 over here. So it says, Iskan Bor A. Chalias Arbas of Erev Shabbos. Shetes Vav B'Shabbos Korin B'Akrachim. It says Shetes Vav B'Shabbos. Korin Akrachim. Then the cities read B'Udalit. Then Ilchim Yom HaKnisa, and that could push back to Thursday. But same time, Chalas B'Udalit B'Shabbos by B'Shabbos. If the 4th day comes on Shabbos, Hayoras Hagadolos Communitchim Yom HaKnisa. Then the big towns go back to the Yom HaKnisa. So why don't the big cities also go back to Yom HaKnisa? So the Korban Ha'eda seems to contradict what he did in the Mishnah, which I didn't notice before. In the Mishnah, he changed the Girsa to Chalias Achar Shabbos, and that doesn't work out with the Gemara. I thought Bnei Moshe does the same thing. So, oh, I see. The Pnei Moshe did not actually change it. He added on Chalios Achar Shabbos. That's a big difference. So let's go back and read the Mishnah according to the Pnei Moshe's addition, which means that if we have first Chalios B'Shabbos, okay, because only otherwise the Gemara makes sense. So Chalios B'Shabbos, if it comes back out on Shabbos, Yudalid. So in Kfarim V'Yagdos Makdim Yom HaKnisa, then the villages and the towns go back to the Thursday. Not the Friday, but the Thursday. And the Mukafas Chama read the next day, which we assume means on Friday, where it's the next day versus the villages and large towns. So the question now the Gemara asks is, again, Bonko Rabbi Zira, if it comes out for the on Tezvav comes out on Shabbos, the 15th day, so Kohen Erev Shabbos. Then they read on Erev Shabbos. That's true, right? The 15th comes on Shabbos. Then the wall says read on Erev Shabbos. But Chalios is b'Shabbos. But if Yudalit comes out on Shabbos, Yidachlu Yom HaKnisa. Why they go back all the way to the fourth to the Yom HaKnisa to Thursday? Let them go back to Friday, just like when in the walled cities, if it comes on 15th, they go back to Friday. So also for the 14th comes out on Shabbos, let them go back to Friday. Why do they go back to Thursday? I understand the Kfarim, the villages go back to Thursday, because that's the name of the game with the marketplace. But why do the towns go back to Thursday as well? So Amar Rab, which should be Rabbi Law, or as Amor Rabbi Law said, the Amor Rabbi Law, it's called in the Bible, he mentions it already many times. Elah, and the Yerushalmi is just called law, which leads to some confusion sometimes. So he says, Miknei Kavod Krachim. We do it in honor of the cities, the walled cities. Shelo you omen, people shouldn't say, Re'inu Krachim. We saw Krachim, and here the Shai Torah changes it to Ukfarim, Korin Kachas, instead of Ayoros. Which means we shouldn't say that the Krachim and the Kfarim both read on the same day. So evidently the issue is that we never want everybody to come out on the same day, and also we always want to make a gap of a day between we don't want to treat, how should I put this? We don't want to treat the large cities the same as the small villages, and therefore I'm not sure now. Now looking at the China Thursday's roles, change of gears to whether it's so necessary. Why I found that so compelling to change Krachim Vayoros to Krachim Ukfarim. I know why. because I read the Gemara differently wrong. Or rather, I'm not sure it was wrong, but it was not pshat. Let's go back and read the Gemara again. In front of the Gemara from the top. Boker Abasira, East Chamei. Come and see. Chalios B'Krachim b'Shabbos. It came out for the Krachim on Shabbos. Tetzvav came out on Shabbos, like we said. Koren B'Erev Shabbos, they read on Yudalad. Chalios Erev b'Shabbos, the big town, if the Yudal came out on Shabbos, so the big towns, and the Yudach Yom HaKnisa, they go back to the Yom HaKnisa. Why they go back to Thursday, as opposed to going back? They should go back actually to Friday. It was just like the I might even said this before. I'm confused, but anyway, I'm saying it now. Why do we say that if it 15th comes out on Shabbos, then why did I say 15th comes out on Shabbos? Then the large cities go. Then the walled cities go back to the 14th, and if the 14th comes out on Shabbos, then the large towns go back to the 13th, which is Thursday, not the 12th, which is Thursday. Why they skip a day? So now we say in other words, we want to say we don't, when we push off relative to each other, not in the same year, obviously, relative to each other, we don't want to push off to the same way that we push off a big town and a small village, which is to Thursday when the Purim comes out on Shabbos. Now we push off large cities the same way back to a Thursday. And the way the Sharat Eretz Yisrael changes is because it's a very interesting chiluk. Because we do know that when Tesvav comes out on Shabbos, we do make large cities, the Mukafos Chema, read on the same day as the towns, which is Yudalit, right? So therefore, can't be a kind of concept of embarrassment to move the Krachim, the walled cities, in the same way we move the large towns, because we see that we do put them both on the same day. The question is, why don't we move them all the way back to Thursday once we're moving them off Shabbos? And the answer is we don't want to treat large cities the way we treat Kfarim, right? The more the emphasis on Kfarim, on the villages, because we know that there's similarities between the large towns and the walled cities, and they can both come out on the same day of reading $1. But we don't want, the reason why, although we're willing to push back, when Yudal comes on Shabbos, we're going to push back the Ayoros Gedolos, the large towns, to Thursday, the same as the Kfarim, is because we don't care about the covet of the Ayoros Gedolos, of the large towns. But we're never going to push back the Mukafos Chema all the way back to Thursday, because then we'd be treating them the same way we treat the villages, and in fact, reading the same day as the villages that year, because the village is going to read that. As a matter of fact, we can even say better now that I'm thinking about it, which is, that's even more simple, which is that year, when Tesvav comes out on Shabbos, if we push the Mukafos Chema back to Thursday, it would come out that they're reading on the same days the villages, while the big towns are reading the next day on Yudalit. That would be the ultimate bizarre. That's why Sharat Yisrael changed the Girza. Because when Tesvav would come out on Shabbos, if we move back to Thursday, like we do when Yudal comes out on Shabbos, then the big towns would be reading on Yudalit, Kedinam, and the Nebuch, the walled cities, would be reading back on Yud Gimel. I mean, on Yud Beis in this case, whatever the case may be. On Yud Gimel, which is on the same day as the Kfarim Gedolim, and that's the Kfarim, as the villages. That we don't want to do. Okay, so that's good now. Let's say it's the inside again. Rabbi Lo mipnei kvoda krochim. Shloimim roim krochim v'kfarim korin kachas. We don't want to have a situation which, if Tesvav comes on Shabbos, we push it back to Thursday, because then we're going to be making the law of the walled cities read the same as the villages, and that's not a nice thing. Okay? Me'ato, so says the Gemara, okay, if that's the case, when Yudal comes on Shabbos, lo yidachu liyom haknisa. So the same thing, let's be makbid on the cover of the large towns. when you down to Shabbos, let's not put them both back to Thursday, because that's a patch and punning to the big towns, right? So loy show you a memory for him goes the same day. And also, we have the Chaliyos b'Sheni, Chaliyos b'Chamishi. Purim comes on a Monday. Purim comes on a Thursday. So that also let's push off somehow. Let's reconfigure, because then it's going to come out that the big towns and the villages are in the same day on a Monday and Thursday. If we're so makpid on COVID, we're so meticulous on the honor of the various different gradations of population and levels of cities. So why should we ever allow for two of the different types to read on the same day the Megillah? Should not be permitted. Now, in the next line, Chaliyos b'Shabbos, the Shai takes that out and just takes out those three words, Chaliyos b'Shabbos. The Mashbiach learns it like this. He learns it all as one long thing as follows. Chaliyos tesvav b'Shabbos. If the 15 days come on Shabbos, in other words, what we hear in present, he just says Chaliyos b'Shabbos is going on Tesvav. It's going on the 15th day, coming out on Shabbos. Ashkech Tani, so we found that about this thing, in this situation, Kfarim, Vayoros, Ukrochim, everybody, the lock, stock, and barrel, Korin Ka'achas, they all read the same day, which is on Thursday. Right, which is in fact means that we don't take anybody's covenant into account, right? So in fact, everybody. Well, actually, we do. That's not true. We do take covenant into account. The backhanded way. We say in order to keep covenant, in order not to be mavazeh, not to denigrate the walled cities, we also move back to unwalled cities. So nobody reads on Yudalid, nobody reads on Tesvav, nobody reads on Friday, nobody reads on Shabbos. Everybody reads on Yud Gimel on Thursday, in order not to be mechalik. Okay, so the Shai Teretz Yisrael has a different change, the Mashbiach, and it goes like the Radbaz. We'll go with the Mashbiach, since the Radbaz also goes with that approach. Okay, so Vahein Tanya Lo Nasiv Ape, and this Tana, who says everybody goes back to Thursday, he doesn't play favorites, literally he doesn't turn his face, Liberia to anybody. Everybody's the same. These are Shloyak Dimu Krachim Layoros. He tells that the big cities should not go before the walled cities should not go before the towns. These are and he holds that everything which is pushed off, right? That goes back to the day of the marketplace. Everybody goes back together, right? And who is that Tana? Rebbe Omer Kulam Yidchul Yidachul Yom HaKnisa. They all go back to the day. They say Shloik Dimu Krachim Layoros, because he's the one who holds. And here you see the choppy editing of the Yerushalmi, because we're repeating ourselves here. After they usually we'd say Montana Rebbe, and then we'd say the Svara. But here we said the Svara, and then we said it's Rebbe, and then we go back and say the Svara again. So the east lake that the walled city should not come before the towns. He said, and he said, anything which is pushed off, it's pushed up to Thursday. Okay. What do we do? Halacha Ma'aseh. Rabbi Yosef said, Kimas Nisa, like the Brisa, right? So that sounds like that if Tesvav came out on Shabbos, we will push everybody back to the we would push everybody back to Thursday, but in fact we don't do that. We don't do that. We actually read that when Tesvav comes on Shabbos, we read Dayoros, Gedolos, and the Krachim on Yudalad, and the Kfarim read on well, we don't have Kfarim anymore, but they would read on Thursday. Okay, so. Bonku Rebbe's here. That's Rebbe's here. Gemara Amar Chaliyos b'Krachim b'Shabbos. Korim b'Erev Shabbos. Shilizay comes out. The 15th day comes on Shabbos. You read on Friday. Chaliyos b'Yoros b'Shabbos. You grow b'Erev Shabbos. Why did you say that when you comes on Shabbos, you push it back to Thursday? Why don't you also push it back to Friday? When again Yerushalmi is going to Shita, so now we push everybody back to Thursday. right? So he says, Ella, turn the page, Masnisa Katrain Tanoi Kadmoya. So he says there are two Tanoim here, right? Katrain Tanoi, the two Tanoim. Tani Kadmaya, Tani Kamasavar, Meima, he said, Koshnichim Goma, Yidoch Yom HaKnisa. He holds everybody's pushed back to the Yom HaKnisa, to the Thursday. But Tani Choros of Meima, there's another Bryce which holds Koshnichim Goma, Leidech Yom HaKnisa. Doesn't have anything which push back, doesn't have to go back to Thursday or to the market day. It goes to whatever day is available, which was like we paskin. When it's pushed off, it's pushed up one day backwards, not all the way back to Thursday. Okay. Amalon said, "Kedem Rab." This is he said. This is what he said to them. This is what Rab said. Tanya, Tanya. It's one time it says, "Name Amru Chalios B'Krach." Well, actually, Rab. On the contrary, I think Rab disagrees. No, but that couldn't be because it's Kedem Rav. So it says, Kedem Rav. I guess it's one time holds one way, another holds the other way. I think that's what he's saying. In other words, it sounds like it's one Tana, but that doesn't seem to be the case of this. Let me change which lows. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, so let's go further. Mivnei Ma'abru, Chalias B'Kragim Shabbos. Yeah, I think this is all Rav. I think it's all Rav speaking. Chatanihu. It's one time who says, Mivnei Ma'abru Chalias B'Kragim B'Shabbos Krem Be'erev Shabbos. The second statement goes on the first. Oh, I'm not sure when it makes a difference. Anyway, let's go on with it. So, why we say if it came out on the 15th, it comes to Shabbos, every Shabbos, this is the Tana which we paskin like. In other words, the other Tana, here it's called, without changing the Girsa, just say the Rab said, this is the Chad Tana, this is the second Tana which you mentioned. The Chad Tana number 2, so to speak, which you mentioned. And he says that you don't go back to Yom HaKnisa, you go back to Yudalid. Why do you go back to Yudalid? Because Yudalid is the Zman Kriya Lakol. It's the elastic day, because it's the primary day, so therefore it can cover anybody. Okay? So, HaKol Yetzim Yudalid is Zman Kriyasa. The Kavasas, and similarly, Chalias Teiros B'Shabbos, if it comes out on, if it's the 4th day comes out on Shabbos, then you go back to the Friday, not to Yom HaKnisa. Also, again, this doesn't happen with Zman Hazeh, like we learned the previous Gemara, but if it did happen, so then you go back to your Gimel, because your Gimel Yom Milchama. There's a special svara that Megillah is best read on Yudalit or Yud-Gimel, because Yudalit is everybody reads it, and Yud-Gimel, since it was the day of the war, so it's also a day of celebration, which is ironic, of course, because we make it the day of the Tainus in our day and age, but nevertheless, since it's a day which is publicly associated with Purim and remains associated with Purim in the sense of it was the day of the war, and therefore we made the Tainus on the day, so therefore, if Yudal comes on a Shabbos, this time holds, you don't go back to Thursday, you go back to Friday, because Yud-Gimel is also universally appropriate day on which to read the Megillah. Okay, so and it indicates on itself that there's no rest on that day. Now I'm not sure exactly it means that the fact that it's no rest on the day, but it's more, there should be the emphasis on the war. But in any event, the idea is the same idea, that it has this, since that was the day which they're busy with Purim, so therefore it's appropriate for that to be the day, for a day in which people read. Ashkaf time, we looked at the Brisa, Kfarim Korim Berev Shabbos. So we have a Gurtana who holds that you Kfarim being an Erev Shabbos on Friday. Vayoros goes Yidov Yom HaKnisa, and the big towns read on Thursday. Ukavos Chem L'achar Shabbos, and the Mukavos Chem read after Shabbos. So this is a very strange thing, right? This is the way the Mechal Mayim, who's the Aruch HaShulchan's comment, which is the Aruch HaShulchan's commentary on Yerushalmi, wants to say is that this Tana wants to give cover to the Ayoros. In other words, in this case, we don't want to. This case where Tesvav came out on Shabbos. Tesvav, Yudah comes out on Shabbos, right? So we don't want, in order to give cover to the big towns, we don't push them off the same day. We push off the villages. So we push the villages to Friday, and we push the big towns to Thursday. But it's difficult. So the Shai Torah actually changes the gears here. He changes that we push off the Kfarim to the Thursday, which is supposed to be their day anyway, and we push off, which is your base, but it's the Yom HaKnisa, and we push off the large towns to your Gimel, which is the day of the Milchama, as we just learned. Okay? So now we have to ask again, how are we going to go to deal with this whole issue of Lachla Maisa? Now that we established there's another Tana we didn't know about before. Well, if you don't know, go back to Thursday. So what do we do? So Rabbi Yossi lays Efshar. He says, doesn't come out to you, now it comes out on Shabbos. Like we said before, so it's not a problem. Bin Efshar, and if it is, because it does come out. Kimas Nisa, then we do like this Brisa, which means everybody goes back to Gimel. Okay? Right, Baruch Shem said, Kol Shem Yidachim in Koimoy. Anytime we said you read at a time which is not its normal time, this is also in the Bavli, Bilvat Basar. You have to read with 10 people. And it's time, you don't need 10 people to read the Megillah. Any individual can read. But if it's not its right time, you need 10. So he says, however, I saw, we see, the Rabbanon who read Afilu B'Yachid. So I heard that you need 10, but I've seen that people do with 1. Okay? Rabbi Avinu Shem asked Kosher Yidach Yom HaKnisa Bad Basara. Then it said anytime you go back to the Yom HaKnisa also, you have Basara. Rabbi Chanina Amar Falgun Rav Chuna Rav Yudah. They have some machlekes. Charamar, one says that Bad Basara, 10. But Charamar Afilu B'Yachidi, and the other said even with 1. So therefore, this reconciles why we find some people do this way and some people do that way, because the fact that it's machlekes Amoroi. Okay. Macy Manamar, so the one who holds only with their 10, asked the one who said, that even with 1, if you can read with 1 person, so why bother going back at all? I understand if you need the minion, so then you go back in order to make sure you get a minion, because Yom HaKnisa, it's easy to get a minion. But if you can read, every individual can read on his own. There's no Indian to read Barov Am. So why push him off? Let the people from the Kfarim come back to the town to do the supplying on Thursday, and let them then read at home as individuals on whatever day is appropriate, depending on the configuration of that year. So here it should be, instead of Amar Rav Reish, according to Mashbiach, it says it should be Im Kain. Then it's a continuation of the question. It says, if you could always read B'Yachid, so then what do you need all those other times for? All you need is the Dal Tesvav, because an individual can read. Now the Gemara doesn't give an answer, but what could answer and say that the Mandamar B'Yachid can say, yes, you can read B'Yachid, but it's still Rovam Hajas Melech and Pirsum Anisa. It's proper to read with 10, and therefore it's like a Chatchil B'Diavad situation. The man number is asking the question, sounds like he understood that it's either permitted or forbidden. And he's saying if it's permitted, so why bother going early? But the other man number will obviously say it's a heater versus not a heater. And for heater, we make earlier times in order to be able to do that. Okay, I think we'll stop here for tonight because Halacha Daled, we'll just do the mission and have to go back again next week. So we will stop here for now. And have a good night.